speaking on machine learning for accelerating nanotherapeutic development right from the design stage to the clinical trial or translation stage. So before I proceed, just a little bit about myself. I think most things have been said. So my background is basically in computer science. So I have my first degree and second degree in computer science back in Nigeria. Then currently I'm a PhD student. And before that, I've been able to serve as assistant lecturer. Then also I teach few modules back in Ireland. Then I've been able to collaborate on different projects at different institutions, including University of Kentucky, our CSI. Then I've been able to win and secure some grants for research. My research generally focuses on the use of AI for healthcare challenge, just to solve healthcare challenges in form of disease and cancer diagnosis, then prognosis, tumor sizing, and then as well as using AI to predict the survival rate of patients. So basically, my research focuses around the use of AI for healthcare and social good. So based on my research, I've been able to use AI for different imaging modalities, including DPT, MRI, and ultrasound for disease diagnosis and prognosis. And these are some of the works in which I've been able to collaborate and to work upon. So for today's talk, just like I said, I'll be speaking on the use of machine learning for nanotherapeutic developments. But the major question is just, can AI actually help us to design better? Can AI help us to design our nanotherapeutic better in a faster and efficient ways? But in the retrospective times, there are thousands, if not millions, of possible formulations because we have a lot of parameters to be considered. We need to consider the size of the nanoparticle. We need to consider the shape. We need to consider the surface chemistry and other parameters like that. And when we change one or two or more of these parameters, this will lead to another formulation because they have non-linear relationship among themselves. So there will be need to be testing each of these parameters, and this will take a lot of time. And also, it has been discovered that some of these nanoparticles may work at the lab at the trial stage, but when it proceeds with the clinical trial, it may fail because what works well for a mouse may not work well for human. Based on this series of experiments, based on this series of iterations, this will lead to an overhead cost. It will take time. So as a result of that, can we actually make use of AI or machine learning? So when I say machine learning is just like a branch of AI. So can we actually use this technique to have a way of designing our nanotherapeutic in a better and faster way instead of spending too much money or spending so much time in the lab? Just like I said, the design challenge or the development challenge, I've been able to narrow them down into two major challenges. The first one is just that we have a vast design space. Just like I said, we have a whole lot of parameters to be looked into. We have to look into the shape. We have to look into the size, the surface charge, the kinetic or the delivery system to know how this functions. So based on this, if we change one or two of these parameters, this can lead to generating another thing. So it leads to back and forth. And also there is a complex biology. So the way I'm going to react to a particular drug will be different to the way another patient will react to that same set of drugs. So there is patient variability. So our immune system is different. We are made up of different genetic components. So we need to take this into consideration when we are developing our nanotherapeutic or nanomaterials. So because of this, we need to have the use of machine learning to be able to design in a faster and better way. So to solve this challenge, we can actually make use of machine learning. But before I proceed how we can make use of machine learning to do that, let me just quickly describe the three major types of machine learning we have. So we have the supervised learning, we have unsupervised learning, then we have reinforcement learning. So when we talk about supervised learning, it's just a way of mapping a set of inputs to a particular output. So we have a set of parameters, then we have a label or a target class in which we are trying to predict. So for instance, now we can try to predict the structural activity relationship of a particular nanoparticle based on the structure, based on the shape, based on the size. So we make use of different parameters to be able to predict a set of outputs. Then when we talk about supervised learning as well, it can either be a classification task or a regression task. So a classification task is a type of task in which we get a discrete output, So it can either be binary or multi-class. So for instance, now a typical example is how our email is being classified. So it can either be a spam or not spam email. So we can make use of machine learning also in this area to be able to predict probably the toxicity of a nanomaterial. Then also for regression, this deals with a continuous value. So we can easily use regression models to be able to predict the eating efficiency of a nanomaterial. So this is just about supervised learning. Then for unsupervised learning, instead of having a particular label or a target class which we are trying to predict, when it comes to unsupervised learning, we just supply the data to the model to figure out what these models have in common, what these data have in common. Then based on that, we can easily segregate them into different clusters. A typical example is just looking into probably the purchasing pattern of different demographics. So we can say set of teenagers, they prefer to purchase a set of products more compared to elderly ones. So based on this model, we can know which of the nanomaterial is promising. We can identify outlier or problematic nanomaterial. And also using unsupervised learning, we can be able to establish relationship among these components or these parameters. So just for instance, imagine being in a superstore, there is a way in which they find a way to associate these products to be able to get different products in a seamless manner. So for instance, if someone is purchasing a bread, there is higher chance that that person will purchase probably a butter to eat. Or if someone is purchasing a coffee, there is higher chance that, that person is going to purchase a milk. So based on that, also we can apply this to our task to be able to use it to know the association between different parameters, to know how they actually relate or correlate with each other. And finally, we have reinforcement learning. So reinforcement learning is a form of learning in which it is based on trial and error approach. So the machine learning agents learn from the environment, learn from different errors, and based on that, it continues to make relevant decisions. So for instance, now imagine an automated vacuum cleaner. So it moves around the room to clean the room. But when it hits a wall, it moves back, then it proceeds further, it's going to hit the wall again. But over time, it's going to learn about the environment that, okay, when there's a wall, it's either you make a right or a left turn. So over time, it's going to learn from experience. So we can easily use reinforcement learning also to optimize the way we synthesize our nanomaterials. So these are the three major forms of machine learning we have. So how can we now apply these machine learning techniques to nanotherapeutic developments? Before I go into that, the basic workflow or the fundamental workflow of machine learning is what I have here. So to develop our machine learning model, we need to have data. So machine learning generally relies on the use of data. So we can easily get our data probably from the lab experiments or from the existing works. So we supply this data to our model and we use machine learning algorithm, to train our model. Then we can make different predictions, which can help us in targeting some set of experiments. And as new data is being supplied, we can continue to improve on our model to ensure that we have a better model or a more robust model. So using machine learning, we can use it for property prediction or predicting one form of parameter or the other of the nanomaterial or nanoparticle. We can use it for design optimization. Then we can use it for clinical prediction as well as process control. So I'll go over this one after the other. So just like I said, it can be used for property prediction or for the nanomaterial design. So we can use it to predict the structural activity relationship of a nanoparticle So imagine giving a set of parameters, probably the shape, the size, and other things. So we can use it to predict the eating efficiency. And one major advantage to this is just that instead of going to the lab to prepare the material, we can know if the material, we can easily predict the eating efficiency. And if it is okay to our satisfaction, then we can now proceed to design it instead of just designing it, then trying to know how it's going to behave. Then also we can use machine learning to predict the drug delivery systems. We can use it to predict how it's going to react in the body. And also machine learning can help to suggest the optimal formulations. Just like I said, when we have these parameters, we have the size, we have the shape. The size must be small enough to navigate through the bloodstreams, and the eating must be efficient enough also to do what it's meant to do. So we have different values for each of these parameters. So we have to know the right value, the optimal value for this design. So machine learning can help us to suggest the optimal values for each of these parameters. And based on that, we can proceed to design our nano material. And a lot of work has been ongoing and still ongoing on that. So different machine learning approaches has been used for that purpose. So either based on classification or regression. So these are some of the existing works which have done that. They'll be able to predict the toxicity of nanomaterial. They'll be able to predict the eating efficiency of the nanomaterial. So they'll be able to use either classification or regression. So for those using classification, they apply a set of threshold. If the toxicity is less than 50%, that means it is non-toxic in nature. Then if it is greater than 50%, that means it is toxic in nature. So we can either apply regression approach or a classification approach for that. And so there have been a lot of work ongoing using machine learning for this purpose. And also we can make use of machine learning for the synthesis and for manufacturing excellence. Just like I said, there are a whole lot of parameters to be put into consideration. So machine learning can help us to identify the optimal values for each of them, because each of these parameters have a non-linear relationship among themselves. If there's a change in one, this can lead to formulation of another product. And also, machine learning can help in quality control and batch consistency. When we produce a set of batch, it must be consistent with and the next set of batch we are trying to produce. So machine learning can help us to detect probably deviations from a particular set of batch to another. So with that, we can easily control the quality of the nanomaterial in which we are producing. And the level of scale in which we produce in the lab is different from the one in which we are producing for commercial purpose. So machine learning can help us to predict the scale-up capacity of our nanomaterials as well. So machine learning, apart from using it for the design stage, we can use it for the synthesis stage, we can use it for manufacturing SNS as well as for optimization purpose. And similarly, though few work exist on this, but most of the works that actually exist for this purpose are being review articles trying to annotate how machine learning can be used for this optimization purpose. Then we can use machine learning for clinical translation or clinical trial. In the beginning I said we have biology complex. So the way we react to different drugs is different. So the way our immune system reacts is different. The way our metabolism is built up is different. So how do we now alleviate this particular challenge? So we can make use of machine learning to do the prediction for us to know how the nanoparticle is going to behave in the body system, how the body system is going to respond to that particular nanoparticle. So we can make use of machine learning to predict the toxicity of this particular nanoparticle. Then also we can take into consideration the data or the metadata or the clinical data of the patient to know if the patient is going to respond to that particular treatment approach. Because the way we respond to treatment approach also, it varies. So if we include these informations about the patients at the design stage, we'll be able to know that, okay, this nanoparticle is going to scale through the clinical trial approach. And also, we can use machine learning for clinical trial optimization, so we can make use of it to know the dosage range that is needed, to know other set of parameters that is needed at the clinical trial in order to ensure that everything runs efficiently. And also, for the purpose of clinical translation and clinical trial, there have been some works on that. So some of these works actually make use of information about the patient to know if it's okay to proceed to clinical trial stage. Some of them try to predict the risk associated with these nanomaterials. Then also some of them try to predict the toxicity as well as the potency of these nano particles. But despite the fact that machine learning has a lot of advantage in this field, there are still some challenges that still exist in this case. One of the major one is the limited data sets. So as a result of the unavailability of data sets, just like I said, machine learning in general relies on the data to make prediction. So if the quality of the data is not good enough, then our model will not be robust enough to make prediction. So currently, there is lack of data sets to train machine learning model. So some of the works rely on existing literature to be able to gather data. And one other ways in which we alleviate these challenges through data augmentation techniques by generating synthetic data. Then also another challenge that CS is just the cross-platform transferability. So if a model is designed for a particular nanoparticle, so it may not be robust enough to work well for other nanoparticle. So there is this generalization problem. So although there are still ongoing work on domain adaptation techniques that can be used to alleviate this challenge, in order to solve all this challenge, there is a need for collaboration in which there will be experts in machine learning as well as experts in this nanotherapeutics field in order for them to work together to alleviate this challenge. Because if a model is being developed by machine learning experts, then there is a need for validation by experts who has the lab experience to know if the machine learning model is actually predicting what is meant to predict. So, and also another reason why there is need for collaboration is just if the model is being developed by AI experts, the experimentalists at times do not have the idea of how this machine learning model actually works, then they may not be able to trust the prediction that is being made by these machine learning models. So with collaborative efforts, all these challenges can be alleviated. And also another challenge is the issue of explainability and quantity, uncertainty estimation. So experimentalists want to be sure that the model that is making the prediction, how sure or how certain is the model. And also what is the reason behind the decision that is being made by this model. So if collaborative efforts is made, all these challenges can be solved. So finally, also, I would like to say that machine learning is not really here to take anybody's job. It's just here to enhance whatever we are doing. It helps to save a lot of time instead of going through the trial and error stage. So we know exactly what is expected based on the prediction we have been able to make, and based on that we can easily go to the lab and design what the machine learning model has actually predicted. So with the use of machine learning, we can be able to do what you are supposed to do on time. And this can be done through the collaborative efforts. So there can be AI and human collaborations to be able to do that. And with that, we have a faster and more efficient ways of designing our nano materials right from the design stage to the clinical trial stage. So these are some of the relevant articles that I'll be able to gather for that. And also, I would like to thank ETU as well as WTN and the University of Glasgow for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ola. Thank you for the nice presentation. And think most of the informations are very new to me. Even